Chapter 12, 62. Golden Sun Spear. Translator, Atlas Studios. Editor, Atlas Studios. Bloodpath, Gu Immortal. Because of Blood's sea ancestor and other historical reasons, as well as Bloodpath's characteristics, any person who cultivated Bloodpath would be judged as a demonic path member in the 5 regions. In the battle between the alliance of Chu sect and Baizu tribe against the allied Huangjin tribes, Chu Du's side could have brought in a strong reinforcement. Unfortunately, this person cultivated Bloodpath. Chu Du had immediately refused with not the slightest bit of hesitation. It was because Chu Du wanted to establish a righteous path force. If he collaborated with a Bloodpath member, his side would be judged as demonic path, and all his painstaking effort would go down the drain. However, Snowy Mountain Blessed Land did not have such concerns. Because Snowy Mountain Blessed Land was a gathering point of Northern Plains' demonic path, Gu Immortals. It was not a tribe or a sect. Whether it be a tribe or a sect, both had the characteristics of nurturing its members, and both had mortal members as well. However, Snowy Mountain Blessed Land was an entity formed and linked purely through benefits. Zhao Lianyun arrived at the 10th Snowy Peak after leaving the 12th Snowy Peak, the demonic path. Gu Immortal guarding this place was called Zhao Pu. He was wearing hemp clothes and cloth shoes, he was bald, had an ordinary appearance, and was of a middling stature. He was standing at the center of the hall while Yu Yi was retreating back again and again until he reached the edge of the hall. His whole body was bathed in blood. His injuries were frightening. When Zhao Lianyun saw this companion, she was almost unable to recognize him. Yu Yi was a pretty and delicate-looking man, but right now it was like he had fallen in a boundless sea of blood and was pulled out by someone. His other abilities are normal, but he has one Bloodpath Immortal Killer move that is extremely powerful. When activating it, all of his blood splashes out before turning into a stream of blood. Once the stream of blood touches your skin, you will start bleeding, and as time passes, the bleeding will continue to worsen. You need to be careful. Yu and Yu Yi saw Zhao Lianyun in the middle of the fight. He quickly warned her, "I understand. Take a rest first. I will deal with him." Zhao Lianyun stepped forward. "Good. Another person is here looking for death." Zhao Pu stood at the same spot without moving, his hands folded across his chest. He let out a sinister smile, revealing his dense and sharp teeth. A demonic and bloodthirsty aura pounced forward. Immortal Killer move Life-Locking Silver Chain. Zhao Lianyun had been preparing this move since earlier, under the consumption of immortal essence. Auras of large numbers of goo worms rose from her body, and a silver light covered her. Clang, clang! A series of chains clashing against each other could be heard coming from within the silver light. Shortly afterwards, 6 long chains shot out from the silver light. The 6 chains were bright silver and extremely nimble as they moved around Zhao Lianyun, forming a strong defense. Zhao Lianyun had gone through intensive training, and after the life-and-death battle with Zhao Denyu, she seemed to have been reborn. Her every move was decisive and did not have an inexperienced air like before. The 10th Snowy Peak Lord, Zhao Pu, noticed Zhao Lianyun activating her killer move, but actually did not stop her and simply watched her. Zhao Lianyun saw this and immediately activated another immortal killer move, Meteor Rain. Immortal essence was expended once again, as a patch of deep blue formed above Zhao Lianyun, above the dome of the hall. Swish, swish, swish. Countless meteors were falling from the sky, raining down like an army of arrows. It was a majestic sight. These meteors were extremely thin and small, like countless hidden weapons. But their power was majestic, as they fell down like a storm that could not be avoided. If Zhao Pu kept on staying still, he would be turned into meat paste by these tiny meteors. He indeed did not dare to be so prideful. Suddenly, a large bloody cloud floated above his head. It was like a huge umbrella that firmly protected Zhao Pu. The falling meteors were blocked by the bloody cloud, but the bloody cloud's volume was shrinking at a visible speed. Zhao Pu gritted his teeth and stamped his foot, as his body shot towards Zhao Lianyun like a red ray of light. Zhao Lianyun's mind shook, subconsciously taking a step back. Oh, the silver chains moving around her reacted faster than her. One of the chains shot out towards Xiaopu like a charging dragon. Xiaopu quickly dodged and chose another direction to attack. But at almost the same time, another silver chain shot towards him. Xiaopu had no choice but to retreat and choose another direction again. This repeated a few times. Xiaopu shockingly realized these silver chains could attack on their own. These chains could be said to have both attack and defensive properties. Not to mention how agile these silver chains were. They could even coordinate with each other. "Little girl, your defensive killer move is pretty good." Xiaopu could not see any results. He did not continue trying and retreated some distance, using his methods to replenish the thinning, bloody cloud. This was natural. Zhao Lianyun had many immortal killer moves. These methods were chosen specifically for Zhao Lianyun by Spirit Affinity House and Heavenly Court. They were especially suitable for a beginner like Zhao Lianyun. Not only were the killer moves easy to control, the injuries from backlash in the case of failure were also not severe. The main thing was that these killer moves were extremely refined. The meteors continued to fall down in torrents. Xiaopu was constantly replenishing the bloody cloud above him. Yu Yezi was in a corner, healing himself. Zhao Lianyun did not answer. She silently continued to prepare for a third immortal killer move. It was just that these two killer moves, Meteor Rain and Life-Locking Silver Chain, were the ones she had practiced the most. This third move was slightly more complex than these two moves. During the normal training, Zhao Lianyun only had to spend some effort to activate it. But in a real battle, she found she had to use a lot more effort. Although right now, with the protection of Life-Locking Silver Chain, the environment was similar to the training field, her mental state was not the same. Her few attempts had already ended up in failure. Another immortal killer move? Don't you know immortal killer moves cannot be used easily? The more you use them, the more chances where you will expose a weakness. Let me teach you how to fight. Xiaopu smiled sinisterly and pounced forward. But this time, when he had reached halfway, he opened his mouth wide. Boom! An enormous explosion occurred. Zhao Lianyun felt the blood throughout her body shaking violently. A little less than half of the goo worms that had soared up in Zhao Lianyun's phantom aperture fell down again because of the disturbance. Among them, many mortal goo were destroyed. Xiaopu was a blood path demonic immortal, but also had sound path methods which caught Zhao Lianyun unprepared. Even Yu Yizi, who had been healing himself, was affected. Like this, Xiaopu continued to attack Zhao Lianyun from all sides while Life-Locking Silver Chain ensured her safety. While Zhao Lianyun did not succeed in activating her third immortal killer move due to all sorts of interference from Xiaopu, she was filled with a sense of powerlessness, thinking, "This guy is indeed like what Yu Yezi described him as. He has a number of methods which are all ordinary and cannot break my life-locking silver chain. But he is extremely troublesome. He has all kinds of methods emerging one after another, causing me to repeatedly fail in activating the killer move. This won't do. I need to continue to persevere." Zhao Lianyun firmed her resolution and continued to attempt activating her immortal killer move. Maybe due to being obstructed too many times and failing many times, it instead tempered her will and strengthened her conviction. Finally, her eyes suddenly let out a piercing, sharp light. Zhao Lianyun then stretched out her right arm and spat at her right palm, spitting out a chain of fire. The fire stopped at her palm. At first, it was only a fireball hovering over her right palm. But with Zhao Lianyun continuing to spit out fire, the fire in her hand began to inflate. It was quite strange. This fire was not inflating as a whole, but it was its left and right side that were enlarging. Soon, a staff of fire formed in Zhao Lianyun's hand. The staff grew until it was the side of an adult's arm. The burning flames on the staff began to shrink. Several breaths later, the raging fire was completely gone, as it condensed into a staff that seemed to be cast from crimson bronze. Zhao Lianyun closed her mouth before suddenly opening it, letting out a shrill scream. "Strike!" Following her voice, a golden ray of light immediately shot out from her mouth and struck the fire staff.